Technological advancements across Puget Sound are improving medical procedures and how people maintain their health. Today we explore how AI and innovations are really changing the medical landscape here in Washington. Thanks for joining us for a special edition of Healthlink. I'm Christine Pei. To start, I visited Seattle Children's Innovation Lab, where 3D printing is used to replicate pretty much anything, including models of human body parts. These pink, plasticky looking things that resemble gummy candy are actually 3D printed tracheas of babies and toddlers. The trachea is the windpipe that connects your voice box to your lungs, and operating on this delicate part of the body can be tricky.
I'm a pediatric otolaryngologist.
Dr. Kaylin Johnson is a pediatric ear, nose, and throat surgeon at Seattle Children's and specializes in airway procedures for kids who have difficulty breathing and swallowing. Among the complex surgeries he does is what's known as a slide tracheoplasty, and training for that surgery is possible thanks to this, a 3D printing machine.
And then actually rehearsed the surgical procedure with a life-size model of the patient with our surgical team.
They're going to basically stitch the airway to the ligament.
Seth Friedman is a scientist at Seattle Children's.
We have a bunch of different inks that are loaded here.
At the hospital's innovation lab, Friedman shows Healthlink an inside look at how such models are made.
And so you can see this purple thing here.
It starts with a CT scan of the child's trachea.
And then we take the set of images, and what we'll first do is we'll first make a model of the inner part, the part that you can't see, the air. And then we have quite a step-by-step process where we can talk to doctors like Dr. Johnson and others to find out exactly how many cartilage rings there are. You can see the little loops and the model that's starting to form.
Then the printer uses those images to create a mold of sorts. The outcome is this, a piece of plastic.
We have all of our great clay tools here to clean out.
Then it's cleaned.
This can be used to remove some of the support material.
Washed several times.
So this is the gel or the material that you'll evacuate.
Then extracted. The replica is then clamped on a makeshift box where surgeons like Dr. Johnson will use it for training before doing the actual surgery on a child's trachea.
We can actually decide how we want to make this cut and transect the airway at the right spot.
Johnson and Friedman say these models provide much needed peace of mind to the patient.
Surgeons really like to practice, so they are sort of more like the concert violinist. And this is a patient that they actually want to practice their craft on.
These tools are now being used overseas. Dr. Johnson and his team have traveled to South America to teach 3D printing models for tracheoplasty. Johnson says it makes sense to practice, particularly for newer surgeon trainees.
So this allows a much more equitable distribution of experience getting prepared for not just the procedure itself, but also patient-specific preparation for surgeries.
Well, it sounds like something from science fiction, an app that can tell what respiratory illness you have based on the sound of your cough. Scientists at the University of Washington are now using machine learning to identify different coughs from different illnesses. And one day the tool might be available on smartphones. Tuberculosis, commonly called TB, is a serious bacterial infection of the lungs and can be dangerous if left untreated. It is less common in the U.S., but the World Health Organization says TB kills 1.5 million people each year, calling it the top infectious killer in the world.
Cough is the most common symptom by far in tuberculosis. So 99% of our patients with tuberculosis had a cough.
David Horn is an associate professor of medicine at UW and a doctor at Harborview's TB control program. He and his team are developing an app designed to compare the sounds of TB-related coughs with other kinds of coughs.
Acid reflux, a viral infection, bacterial pneumonia, asthma, etc. Because you need a group to compare them to.
The team of doctors and computer engineers collected data from a group in Nairobi, Kenya for the research. They compiled recordings of coughs from confirmed TB patients to those who didn't have TB. Take a listen. That is the sound of a TB cough, but compare that to this. That is what a non-TB cough sounds like. Notice any difference?
To your question as to whether I can listen and say, aha, that patient has TB, like a TB Pepsi challenge, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
It may not be obvious to the human ear, even a doctor's, but a machine learning algorithm can.
We converted the audio into a frequency domain and looked at the frequency analysis.
Dr. Manuja Sharma is a UW electrical and computer engineering doctoral student. She and her team analyzed more than 33,000 audio clips of coughs collected from study participants at the Kenya Medical Research Institute in Nairobi. Those audio clips, like these, were then fed into a machine learning program trained to analyze their different frequencies, and they found this.
That passive coughs do seem to have signal that can differentiate between TB and non-TB.
Leading to this hypothesis.
Because of that tissue destruction, the cough sound that's produced could be different than what a cough sound is produced in other respiratory health issues.
The findings are promising. Their research, detailed in the paper Science Advances, found their app on an ordinary smartphone mic predicted active TB coughs at a better rate than expensive microphones. And the team realized such technology could be used as a valuable screening tool.
Meaning you would say, aha, this person has a high likelihood of having TB. Let's send specimens for further studies.
The technology could be groundbreaking in communities like Nairobi, where TB rates are high and where the screening process can be costly. Horn and his team think their cough app can be a solution.
What you really need is something that could be used at point of care, meaning at the bedside, that quickly gives you results, that's low cost, that's simple to operate, that doesn't rely on complex infrastructure or even electricity.
The researchers want to further develop this app to eventually record and compare coughs from COVID, pneumonia, and asthma patients. So transitioning into shorter days and longer nights in the wintertime can mess with sleep patterns and for some trigger seasonal affective disorder. I talked to UW scientists whose discovery can help manage this from the comforts of home. It is one of the best things about mornings, a beautiful sunrise to start the day. Scientists say seeing these vivid hues regulate our circadian clock, the system that helps our brain know when it's time to wake up and time to go to sleep. But we're not always awake to view such a sight, and the weather doesn't always cooperate.
If you want to make sure your clock set is right, a really good way would be to go up and see the sunrise every morning. But here in Seattle, for many reasons, not possible.
But what if these spectacular colors can be captured in a lamp?
I can open it. Are you ready?
That we can use any time of the day. Researchers at the University of Washington have figured it out with this LED light.
You maybe see it a little bit, but if we slowed it down, we'd actually see that it was going blue, orange, blue, orange, blue, orange.
Jay Knights and James Kuchenbecker are professors at UW's Department of Ophthalmology. They discovered alternating wavelengths of blue and orange. The kind of light we see during sunrises and sunsets is a really good way our brains set our circadian clocks by advancing melatonin levels, the hormone that helps us fall asleep.
If you look at it very closely, you will see that it's not just a standard white light. It is doing something extra.
They designed a light that appears white, but our eyes are actually absorbing blue and orange colors.
So if I told you it's kind of bright outside, what time is it? You go, you could be off by 10 hours. Or if I said it's dark, what time is it? You could be off by. But if I said the sky is orange and blue, you'd actually can know almost within a few minutes of whether it's either a few minutes at sunrise or sunset.
Their findings, published in the Journal of Biological Rhythms, found certain photoreceptors in our eyes are extra sensitive to alternating blue-orange colors. They found a way to emulate those wavelengths with their specially designed lamp that they claim works better than other light therapy lamps that emit only blue wavelengths or are very bright.
It's true. If you get a light that's really super bright and you sit in front of it in 20 minutes, it will affect your circadian rhythm.
But the researchers say their light with the orange and blue wavelengths have a softer glow and are just as effective, if not more, for people dealing with graveyard shifts, jet lag, or seasonal affective disorder.
The discovery that we might be able to get these color signals and how we're seeing the sunrise through that pathway and get it to reset our internal clock was a fantastical and phenomenal discovery. We were very excited by it.
Still ahead, artificial intelligence is helping healthcare providers be more accurate. How it's being used to flag errors in medication labels and prevent unnecessary hospitalizations. And no gum or patches. There is a new way to help you quit smoking. How an AI-powered app is helping kick the habit. Artificial intelligence is used worldwide, from homes to offices, to help with everyday tasks. And now more scientists are using it in the medical field. Errors in giving injectable medicine account for an estimated 1.2 million hospitalizations every year in the U.S., according to a recent study. But local scientists found a way to flag mistakes using AI. This video, recorded from a head-worn camera, shows a healthcare provider getting a syringe ready for medicine. In this example, a powerful sedative known as propofol is properly labeled, as you can see in the text flashes. But in this staged example, using different medication, there is a mismatch in the label placed on a syringe. What you're looking at is an AI system attached to the camera that is flagging the error in real time.
So the goal is really for patient safety.
Artificial intelligence is increasingly ingrained in our lives, and it could soon play an important safety component in the ICU or an operating room by preventing medicine errors.
We know that the medication from the vial to the syringe, it's possible that things could get switched up and then the patient could get the wrong drug. And this is important because maybe it could be a drug they're allergic to.
Dr. Kelly Michelson is an associate professor of anesthesiology at UW-Medicine. She and her team researched how effectively AI can alert any mismatches in the drugs they're about to give to a patient.
People make mistakes.
Shyam Golagota is a professor at UW's Paul G. Allen School of Computer Science and Engineering and co-authored the study with Dr. Michelson. He thought about using AI while considering some grim numbers. An estimated 5 to 10% of all drugs given are linked with errors.
So the question we asked is, can we have an additional pair of AI eyes looking over and trying to do an additional check to make sure that the drugs are being given correctly?
Their research, published in the NPJ Digital Medicine in October, shows their AI achieved 98.8% specificity at detecting vial swap errors. They tested the AI algorithm while recording staged mismatches, plus large amounts of data in the OR, until eventually the program was trained to find discrepancies.
So it ultimately just uses all the visual cues of the vial or the syringe. So it looks at the color, the text, the orientation, the size.
Still, they had to find a way for the AI to recognize labels even when they're partially covered by, let's say, a hand, or if the lighting is dim. Through machine learning, their AI program was indeed able to find mistakes.
The way to think about it is, even, for example, you're buying a cereal, and even if half the words in the cereal are covered because of your, let's say you're buying Cheerios, and let's say CHE in the Cheerios are covered because someone has their hand on it, you can know the context of the colors around it. You know that the last few words are iOS, and you basically know that it's Cheerios, right?
The camera system has only been used for research and is not available in market. No details yet on how the errors would alert the provider, whether it's a beep or a visual cue through special glasses. The first step was to prove the AI can work.
Of course, having another person staying there rechecking is kind of a cumbersome solution. So using AI to do this automatically in the background, I think, is a really neat solution.
People are starting to use artificial intelligence to better their health, including through therapy. I talked to University of Washington behavioral researchers about how they are using AI as a self-help tool in therapy. From ChatGPT to AI-generated images, artificial intelligence is in the limelight. But what about using AI as a therapist?
I think I've been working on this for close to 10 years.
Tim Althoff is an associate professor of computer science at the University of Washington. He's developing a set of online tools that use AI as a form of mental health therapy.
I believe that technology is now at a point where it can start to actually be useful to people in a mental health context. And we've especially focused on kind of collaboration between people and AI.
One of Althoff's projects uses AI to help professional human therapists be more empathetic in their interactions with clients.
Essentially what we called empathic rewriting.
Dave Atkins of the Behavioral Research and Technology and Engineering Center at UW Medicine worked with Althoff on the AI training tool for clinicians.
Training an AI so that when someone is ready to send a message, you could get feedback from the AI on how to update, edit that message so that it was more empathic.
But one of Althoff's most recent projects is an AI platform that interacts directly with the user to reframe negative thinking.
We co-developed this tool that essentially walks you through a process where you learn how to challenge negative thoughts.
I just call it a self-help tool.
Teresa Nguyen of the nonprofit Mental Health America collaborated with Althoff's team to develop the tool.
The idea is that we can change our feelings and we can change our behaviors by first focusing on our thoughts. And so once you start with that negative thought, you learn your patterns of how your thinking causes trouble for you.
How have you designed this so that it emulates a real person, a real therapist?
Yeah. I think one important point is that it actually does not try to do that. And I think that's an important part.
Althoff emphasizes this is an online tool that gives a user suggestions to get away from negative thinking. He says it's not an effort to replace human therapists, but points out,
even if an AI system could replace a therapist, like that therapist most of the time doesn't even exist because that person didn't have access to somebody in the first place.
Nguyen adds tools like this can fill a gap for those who lack access or money to receive professional mental health treatment.
So dearly needed, with kind of AI technology being maybe one kind of piece of that puzzle.
So there is an app for just about everything these days, including one that's now helping people quit smoking. It uses AI to help people kick the habit. I spoke with the experts at Fred Hutch Cancer Center here in Seattle about how it works.
So this app is a comprehensive program for helping a person quit cigarette smoking.
Dr. Jonathan Bricker is a psychologist and a scientist at Fred Hutch Cancer Center. He and his team developed an app called QuitBot to guide a person through the notoriously difficult task of quitting smoking.
We chose smoking because in the 25 years that I have been a researcher here at the Fred Hutch, what's never changed is that smoking continues to be the most preventable cause of premature death.
In January, the American Lung Association released data showing Washington State received a D grade in providing access to resources to help people quit tobacco. Fred Hutch hopes its app, available nationwide, will help reverse that.
And it does it with a virtual coach, an avatar called Ellen, that people can personalize in how she looks. And she provides this motivational inspiration for people to use.
Ellen is ready to answer any question about cigarettes, the effects of smoking, and more. Bricker said the bot is equipped to answer more than 11,000 questions relating to quitting.
Common questions people ask are, what's in a cigarette? I've been smoking for a really long time. What's going to be different now?
Will people feel silly asking an app these questions?
The really interesting thing happens is that people develop a bond with Ellen, and they know that she is just a computer program, but they're more willing to reveal things about themselves, and they seem very trustworthy of the bot.
Bricker says it's an important component as the tool helps provide accountability in the process. The app is currently free to download in your phone's app store. It's a really common tool to help fall asleep, but are white noise devices safe to use long term? I ask a neurologist about the potential impacts. And wearable technology keeps getting smaller, from watches to rings or maybe even an earring. Still ahead, we'll look at the work of a UW student that's turning heads. Welcome back. We're familiar with wearable technology like the smartwatch, but what about a smart earring? Fashion accessories are increasingly entering the realm of health monitoring. I talked to the UW developers of the thermal earring that can measure the subtle but important changes in our body. Shirley Shui likes earrings.
I wear them like almost every day. I have like maybe more than 20 pairs of earrings.
She also likes the usefulness of her smartwatch.
I use it to like monitor my health status, my heart rate, my activities.
So the UW computer science and engineering doctoral student wondered, what if an earring can do the same thing a smartwatch does, only better?
It's a smart wireless earring that's designed for continuous temperature monitoring.
She calls it a thermal earring. It's about the size of a paperclip and has a 28-day battery life. The gemstone part measures the earlobe temperature. It has a magnet that attaches to the dangly part, which measures the room temperature just inches away from the head.
Because it's so close to your head, the head is part of your core body. So it's actually very accurate and like tightly coupled to your core body temperature.
Joy says the technology is sensitive enough to measure subtle temperature changes from fever, ovulation, even emotional detection.
Temperature is actually a very important vital sign.
The earrings are connected to an app that records the temperature data in real time. While an oral thermometer can capture your temperature at that moment, these earrings record body heat for extended periods of time, which can be useful in monitoring any fluctuations and the effectiveness of certain medication. It's not commercially available yet, but Shui believes her design will catch on, especially now in our COVID world where measuring body temperature can be critical.
We hope like it can serve as a potential platform for like clinical study for fevers.
So many people opt for white noise devices to get a better night's rest overall, but are they safe to use all night, every night? A neurologist at Virginia Mason Franciscan Health weighs in. What used to be a nuisance, signaling a bad antenna or TV signal, now serves a very different, very popular purpose: falling asleep.
By definition, white noise is a sound that contains all frequencies at equal intensity.
And people like the sound of it. White noise machines used as a sleep aid have boomed in popularity, with some global market estimates valued at just over $1 billion in 2024.
It's often used to mask our environmental noise, and so it can help to improve sleep, may help to mask sounds that might otherwise disturb sleep.
Dr. Brandon Peters-Matthews is a neurologist at Virginia Mason Franciscan Health in Seattle, specializing in sleep disorders. He says such devices are great at drowning out surrounding noise, things like a snoring partner, maybe a child in the next room, or outside traffic sounds. But Healthlink wants to know, is a white noise device or app safe for chronic long-term use, and could there be any cognitive impacts? Dr. Peters-Matthews says the nature of white noise's continuous, even sound should make it okay. What's not okay is if the noise is too high, especially for young children.
So the safe decibel level for white noise in babies is less than 50 decibels, which is equivalent to a quiet refrigerator or a gentle rainfall, so it's fairly quiet. For adults, we generally like to keep it under 70.
He says anything higher at sustained levels can lead to hearing loss over time. Dr. Peters-Matthews also notes such noise devices might not necessarily ensure quality sleep.
I would say for most people, it's not going to have that kind of an effect. I think it's really more the masking effect where it benefits sleep rather than enhancing the depth of sleep.
Yet another part of the quest to get better rest. Well, that's all for now. To watch our entire series covering a range of health topics, you can visit our website, king5.com/healthlink. You can also watch the Healthlink playlist on our King 5 YouTube page. Thanks for joining us. Until next time.